What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, taking a look at my most updated Synchron list, and I'm pretty happy with where it's at. I did decide that this is going to be my next IRL deck, so that's pretty exciting after a lot of playtesting. Not that I think it's competitive in any capacity, but it is fun. It's like a good little rogue deck that I think is really interesting and can catch a few people by surprise. I think it can compete against anything. Not that it's ever going to be favored, but in any case, let's get into the cards here. This is Fenrir, so this card's good going first or second, no surprises there. But it's also a really good combo enabler. It's actually one of the best ones in the deck, if you can believe it. If you guys saw my combo video, which I will link in the description down below if you want to watch, but cast your Fenrir special summon, search an extra copy, and if you do have a copy of Synchro Overtake, you go ahead and activate that. You bring out the Jet Synchron, synchro those off into Psyframe Lord Omega, banishing a random card out of your opponent's hand, which could be a hand trap, you never know. And also, now your board is empty, so you get to special summon that Fenrir again. And when Jet Synchron's sent to the graveyard, it's the only card that can actually search Junk Converter. So as long as you have another tuner in your hand, you can then, activate the Junk Converter, searching out Junk Synchron, and then you're off to the races. Really cool interaction. 3 copies of Ash Blossom. It just feels like a must include in every deck ever. It's just a very good card. And it's also a tuner, so it can be discarded off a Junk Converter. Same idea with Gamma. Now, Droll is such a popular card, and it's not a great Ash bait. So Junk Converter is really good Ash bait. Water Enchantress of the Temple is great Ash bait. So all of these things are very relevant. Now you might think that these two conflict with each other, because normally Junk Converter you always search Junk Synchron. That's not the case, because you can actually just use the effect if you have both of these in your hand, right? Meaning you have Rite of Air Mystere, you can't use your normal summon effect. Well, it doesn't matter, because as long as you have a tuner, you can just discard this and then search your Junk Synchron, and suddenly you're doing the exact same thing as you were before. So it does. It works out in the end. And also, you're not always going to see these two cards together, but they don't literally work against each other. But in any case, yeah, Psyframe Gear Gamma is a tuner, and that's really important. 3 copies of Stardust Synchron. Now, I think the correct play, and I actually meant to fix this before. It is unfortunate if you draw a copy of Stardust Synchron, at least the way that I play the deck. Because the whole idea is that you want to send Excel Synchron, but if you have one less copy, you have one less copy to draw in your hand. And also, you can work around it. It's really not the end of the world, to be honest with you. You can send a 3. But Revolution Synchron is just really important with Rite of Air Mystere. This is full combo by itself. I think I also showed that in my other combo. Right, you just activate Rite of Air Mystere, you normal summon, you go right into Baron. This just brings itself back, and then now suddenly the Rite of Air Mystere token, and then this is a level 1, you can go into Junk Speeder. It's one of the most important interactions, and one of the most important changes I made to the deck, so I'm glad I remembered I did that. Stardust Trail, this card is just insane. It just brings itself back over and over and over again. I've already talked about Junk Converter, right, and normally it searches you Junk Synchron, and it is just... Also, the important part is that this helps you chain block your Junk Speeder, because your opponents, a lot of the times, are going to hold on to Ash for the Junk Speeder if they know that it exists, but you can chain block, which is cool. Revolution Synchron is really good, so yeah, this is one of the cards I proxied. I didn't realize how expensive this card was. I did buy a few proxies. I know it's sacrilegious, but I'm not spending $300 on Fenrirs and Revolution Synchrons. It's just absurd. I just do not ever really want to spend that much money on cardboard. 1 copy of Assault Synchron. If you draw, it doesn't matter. It's a free special summon anyways. 2 copies of Jet Synchron. You want to have one that you can use for your combos, and also one that you can bring out from the deck. The Adventure Token Engine, obviously, is Griffin, 3 copies of Enchantress, 3 copies of Rite of Air Mystere, 1 copy of Fateful Adventure, and then the Draco bag. So you don't run that many going second cards, I guess. I mean, there's a handful here. So Fenrir, Ash Blossom, Gamma, and technically your Adventure Engine is at least a way that applies pressure, and Draco back can be pretty good for that too, but I guess it is one of the weaknesses of the deck. But this is a really good engine. This is the only normal summon effect in the entire deck, which I already talked about those interaction between the two. I definitely think this is worth playing. I really do. Foolish Burial. Normally that can send Water Enchantress, but if you only need a level 1 body or something, you can also send Junk Synchron, and it can just special summon itself. So it can come up, and I think Foolish Burial is a really good kind of flex spot in the deck. 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, just for consistency purposes, obviously. It's very nice that this card is affordable. Finally got my playset. That's exciting. I feel like as soon as I buy it, they're going to like limit it or something. But I think I bought this deck at the right time, right? The ban list just came out. I don't think they're going to be doing one anytime soon. And also the last one was like really tame. 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. Here's Stardust Illumination. 3 copies of Synchro Overtake. And then I do run 1 copy of 9 Pillars. Now, probably the objective right choice is just to go ahead and put this into the side deck and then side it in. But I don't know. This is definitely a card that I think is worth looking at, because this is like has 1B games for sure. It's a counter trap, so your opponent can't respond. And that comes up a lot. And besides the fact that it can stop your opponent's Dark Ruler no more. Now, when you know you're going second, obviously, you're going to go ahead and take out the 9 Pillars. And after that, like, your siding is very interesting. So while you don't run a ton of going second cards, when you know you're going second, there's lots of very interesting things that you can do, right? You can take out a copy of 9 Pillars. I take out pretty much all of my copies of Pot of Prosperity because you are drawing a card off the top. It's kind of the same idea. So you're running at least 4 more, and maybe you only take out 2. I don't know. Maybe you can take out a copy of Water Enchantress. You do run Foolish Burial. So there's tons of things. Like, there's a lot of flexibility, and it kind of just depends on the matchup and what kind of hand traps that you want to look at. Let's go on to the extra deck. Crimson Dragon. Very nice. Majestic Star Dragon. This card's like overly expensive. This is the other card that I proxied. I think I only got like 4 proxies and just like trickle in the cards as they go in. But Dispotter is just insane. A lot of these cards just work so well together, and it's like really fun. But I really hope Crimson Dragon doesn't get banned. I hope they hit the cards that are like actually problems, because this is one of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I guess one of my favorite reasons to play this deck, right? The hot red card just needs to get banned. And I think this card can legitimately stay. I mean, it's not that big of a problem. It's a Synchro 12. It's not easy to make. It's just very rewarding. I love this card. I love cards that cheat things up. Majestic Star Dragon is the Omni Negate that destroys everything. And it's really cool, like, if you, I'm not going to say greedy, but there's definitely scenarios where Dispotter can, like, bring back your Assault Synchron, meaning that when you use the Omni Negate, you can actually just, like, bring it back again. But normally ripping 2 cards out of your opponent's hand is too important, right? The big play is Dispotter brings back Psyframe Lord Omega after banishing a card, so you can banish 2. And the cool thing with Dispotter as well is that when your opponent activates something, you're shuffling one of those cards you banished off of Omega, so they're not getting both cards back. It's really great. It's like a really cool interaction. Baron de Fleur, thankfully this card is, affordable now. Shen, there's times you can go into rank 9s, and there are times when this is a really, really, really good card. Depends on the matchup, you never know. But it is like a pretty decent interruption against some decks, and if they're not prepared for it, it can be like game ending. Crystal Wing. So there are times where you can go into late games, and Crimson Dragon can target your Psyframe Omega, and there's other times that you can just like straight up make this card. It's really not that hard. Depends on the game, everything does, but this is normally like one of my Pot of Prosperity targets. This is something that you're probably going to see later in the game, and that's the reason why I do that. Omega is insane. So Junk Destroyer, and I'll just go ahead and put this one over here, Jet Warrior. So these cards are your Synchro Overtake targets. There are times, and there's been plenty of times, where I've opened up Junk Converter, there's no tuner, or at the very least, I don't want to discard that tuner, but I do have Synchro Overtake in my hand too, so you can just normal summon Junk Converter, special summon out the Junk Synchron from the deck, and then there you go. These cards are also very good Pot of Prosperity targets. If you know you don't need one of these cards, or like if you're only searching for one, you can banish the other one. So it's pretty cool. 1 copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This is another like really expensive card, which is super unfortunate, but it's very good. I guess that's why it's expensive. Stardust Dragon, very cool. I love Stardust Dragon. Stardust Charge Warrior, and this is where that Synchro 6 can come in, and you can kind of do whatever you want. I usually don't use the draw effect, because I just have this really big fear of drawing my, Stardust Trail off the top. Junk Speeder, this card's absurd. It's like Soul Charge from the deck. Excel Synchron, this is something that helps you send your level 4s to the graveyard, or you can send it level 3 and then level manipulate with Illumination, and then work yourself out after that. And then Dang Long, so this searches 9 pillars. But like I said, maybe you want to put this to the side and then just run an extra hand trap of some sort. Side deck isn't too important, but I do like to run Psyframes, especially when you know you're going second, and if you're playing like a trap-based deck, like this can help you against Dimensional Barrier, because that's like obviously churn ending. Like I said, this isn't you're never going to take this to a tournament and just dominate. But you want to try to give yourself as much of a chance as possible. And I am running Psyframe, so, or if your opponent's like playing Runic or something like that, I also like to run Delta, which is for spells, Epsilon's for traps. couple copies of Dark Ruler, a couple copies of Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, Droll. Nothing too crazy, right? I'm still messing around with the side deck, and your side deck obviously changes all the time. Just very, very quickly, I think I'm only going to show one because I've been showing this deck a lot recently. But if you haven't seen any of my decks, like I'm playing against a combo-oriented deck here. And this is full combo, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and normal summon there. I can bring this out, go into Junk Speeder, and then there we go. I've now chain block. I don't think my opponent had anything. And if your opponent doesn't have anything, like it's really over. Like there's a really small chance that they're going to be able to come back because you're ripping 2 cards out of their hand and you have like 1,000 negates. There you go. You can bring out the token, send the level 4 to the graveyard, turn that into Disc Spotter. That's going to go ahead and, you know, trigger the Stardust Trail, bring back the Excel Synchron, turn that into Baron, and then now I can go into Psyframe Lord Omega. Now, I did get this, and this is where I did get greedy, because I wanted the Omni Negate, because my opponent didn't have anything. I'm thinking, this guy definitely has, like, Dark Ruler No More or something. So that's why I did that. So 2 Omni Negates, 3 Omni Negates, and I also have Imperm here. He goes for Foxy Tune. Like, yeah, this is the problem with Punk that I realized, like, big time. That it's kind of easy to get a key on, right? It's just not very good, and my opponent has to scoop. And then it's the same idea. This one is against another combo deck. And this is why you want to see as much Revolution Synchron as possible. So then I can just, you know, go for it, basically. And I can just normal summon. You know, I can get rid of another copy of Water Enchantress. It's very good for the grind game, because you're kind of like thinning out your deck. And also, it's just like kind of decent. And then there we go. Now you're protected against Nibiru, which is really important. That's why the Adventure Engine is just so essential. I did end up chain blocking there. I don't think I needed to do that, but I mean, I have Baron. But I was actually kind of worried that he had like Nibiru Imperm, but I think he had like chain always on, so basically just trying to like scare me. But I'm just gonna keep going, especially if it's in real life. Like your opponent can't do that IRL, so you might as well play like how you would normally in a duel. And there we go, double rip. See you later. This is the more traditional setup. And then here you go. Here comes Shen Shen. Now, it's a pendulum deck, so it doesn't really come up too much, but you never know. You never know. And then, yeah, he obviously just scoops. Right? This is just such a really good setup. I also have Ash in hand, but yeah, I love this deck. It's really fun. I'm excited to play it in real life, pick it up, and get some of those proxies out of there and fill them up with the real cards. I think it's only 4, which is I'm happy about. So just one at a time. I don't want to spend... I just can't spend that much money on cardboard. It's kind of stupid. But in any case, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.